And then we had the news about drones, the NBC, the NBC story, and what are the implications of that in terms of our national security?
Look, I think drones are a tool to be used in the quote-unquote war against terror. They're particularly good when host countries lack the capacity or will to act, when we don't want to send in special forces for whatever reasons of safety or promise of an operation, when you've got known, certain identified, high-value individuals, when you think you can take care of them in ways that will not cause all sorts of collateral damage of innocence, so you don't alienate people around them. So it's to me, you've got a checklist of conditions. If those conditions are met, I think we should be prepared to use drones. But my hunch is, if you actually have a rigorous checklist, you'll use drones far less frequently.
Far less frequently than we have been using.
Exactly, and I think that's going to be the, that's if I were a betting man, that's what I would bet. I would bet that the number of drone operations drops significantly moving ahead.
But especially after today's news, which basically strengthens what we've known in terms of collateral damage and civilian casualties.
Yeah, because look, Donald Rumsfeld, who's not someone I always quote, basically had that really interesting comment about we've got to ask ourselves that anytime we do something in the name of counterterrorism, he said, are we confident we're not generating more terrorists or sympathy for terrorists by what it is we do? And you've got to make that calculus. So every time you use a drone, you've got to say, okay, here's what I think I can accomplish, but it's going to have this effect on the society, this effect on the government, and so forth. Is it worth it in the net? And in some cases it will be. But you really want to ask yourself that question and make that calculation. The last thing you ever want to do is anything like that cavalierly or simply do it because you have the capacity to do it. So my hunch is the administration used drones too frequently, and I think now is correctly dialing it back.
So why is that, do you think? Why did Obama, who after all has a sort of constitutional law background, who is a thoughtful man, why did he make these decisions? I'm not asking you to psychoanalyze him, but to see if you can get into his brain.
I mean, the honest answer is I haven't the faintest idea. This administration has gone quite far, though, in a number of areas, whether it's what they've done with journalists. I mean, it's more reminiscent of Britain than the United States. It's as if we had an Official Secrets Act, and you're going after journalists rather than the leakers. That is something I never would have
expected.
Never would have expected or predicted. Look, I think some of it, this has been laudable. For example, the decision to go after Osama bin Laden in that raid. That was an extraordinary roll of the dice. Imagine for a second if that raid had failed. I would think the comparisons to Jimmy Carter and Desert One, the hapless president, would have, I think, seriously affected the president's political prospects. So to me, it was an incredibly gutsy political call. I think it's really admirable that he did it, and thank God it worked out as well as it did. So I think it's been a mixed record. What I would not have predicted, though, the centrality of this set of issues. No, I think the president himself has rethought it. What was so interesting about the speech, 2 weeks ago at National Defense University, was clearly a slight walking back from the emphasis on centrality of that set of issues. But why exactly he chose to put as much emphasis on it the first 4+ years, I look forward to the history.